that it is actually through the Department of Energy, Dr. Stephen Chu and his science advisor, Dr. Kunin, that they are running the emergency response in Japan. They're telling TEPCO what to do. And when one of the contamination maps was hacked by a Japanese friend of mine, he discovered that the map was the same on the underneath layer, but instead of having joint release by Japanese and U.S. government, it said map made by the Department of Energy.
Right, so the U.S. is basically calling the shots,
yes,
as to Fukushima, and the U.S. Department of Energy, as we know from the BP spill, is essentially run by the British Crown and the City of London.
Well, let's just take it to Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Dr. Stephen Chu received a Nobel Prize for his research on alternative energy, solar energy. And he was at Stanford then. 2 years before Obama was elected, he received $500 million from the Crown, which is the City of London bankers for the Queen, to start his election campaign. Stephen Chu was hired 2 years before Obama was elected by the Lawrence Berkeley Lab, which is where the Manhattan Project started, and it is managed by UC Berkeley. Stephen Chu, while director of the Lawrence Berkeley Lab, received $500 million from British Petroleum, which is owned by Queen Elizabeth, to set up a British Petroleum, it's called the Helios Research Project, or Research Village, at the Lawrence Berkeley Lab. And so he was very beholden to British Petroleum and Queen Elizabeth, and his twin, he called him, at that time, while he was director, was British Petroleum scientist Dr. Kunin. And as soon as Obama was elected president, he immediately appointed Stephen Chu to be director of the Department of Energy, and Stephen Chu immediately appointed Dr. Kunin as one of his undersecretaries, undersecretaries for science. And so it's the two of them who actually oversaw the British Petroleum Gulf disaster. We know what happened there. It was a big cover-up, and they let the poisoning go on and on and on. And they are also overseeing the Fukushima disaster, and obviously they're both British Petroleum, and Chu is even a Nobel Prize kind of an agent. The Wallenberg bankers in Scandinavia run the Nobel Prizes. We know it's a dirty prize.
Yeah, so
and
both Obama and Chu are Nobel Prize recipients.
Yes, yes. So all three of them, Obama, Dr. Stephen Chu, and Dr. Kunin, are all working for Queen Elizabeth directly.
Right.
There's no doubt. It's just how it is. Now, what I did want to say before we go on to evidence of U.S. and Canadian government complicity is that there is a very strong, very subtle, and very immediate radiation effect in terms of the birth-sex ratios. In other words, the number of newborn baby boys born for every 100 baby girls. And as soon as there is radiation contamination, the number of new baby boys begins to drop. And in Fallujah, it has dropped in the 5 years since Fallujah, the battle. It has dropped from maybe about 105 baby boys per 100 girls, that's the world average, to about 87. And that happened very quickly, within 2 years of the Fallujah battle. So we're seeing all over the world a decline in the ratio of baby boys to baby girls. And in fact, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation made a film, a documentary on the disappearing males, the little disappearing male children in Canada, and that's reported all over the United States and other countries, along with a big decline in fertility, very large decline in fertility. Also, a new article published, on June 24th in the Daily Mail in England is that 1 in 5 preschool children in the United States are overweight or obese. And there was an alarming article in a Chinese paper that a toddler, 2 years old, weighed 131 pounds. His mother couldn't even pick him up. He weighed more than she did.
Amazing.
So this is what they're doing. They're turning the global population of babies and children into the 7 dwarfs at Disneyland. They are mutilating the future of all populations.
And
they're
this
mutilating the DNA.
Yeah, this is part of the nuclear depopulation plan. So as you say, within a couple of generations, we will be down to the 1 billion or the 500 million that has been the plan of the British Crown, Dutch Crown, Rockefeller, Rothschild, House of Rothschild.
And not only that, they're culling populations as well. I know that certain ethnic groups are targeted. I know that people with mathematical abilities are being targeted. They're culling them. They're attacking them from cell phone towers and other means and methods, using HAARP, using CIA cancer. And in England, it's been reported that 150,000 people a year are being culled from the English population. These are people who have the ability, the creative thinking ability, the mathematical ability to reverse the technologies that have been developed by the international financiers and the monarchies in order to cripple the human population and reduce it to a slave population that they can easily control. And there's no doubt about this. I'm just going to talk about the government complicity now in the U.S. and Canada. Now, on March the 9th, there was a foreshadowing event of this Fukushima disaster, and that was that the Center for Disease Control in the United States suddenly posted a lot of documents on radiation and continued to for the next 30 days. Hundreds of documents. Now, I'm going to just read the titles of a couple.
And this is, just to remind people, this is suddenly out of nowhere, 2 days prior to the March 11, 2011 Fukushima event.
Yes.
Yeah, and that foreshadowing is part of the technology of a false flag operation, so that it shows that there was a command and control element within the false flag operation that triggered the CDC to do this, and that coordinated the Stuxnet virus and the HAARP, possibly the Tromsø, Norway HAARP facility on March 11, 2011. This is just so that people get an idea of the integrated genocidal, planetary genocidal aspects of this program. Okay, sorry.
It's never happened before. I think we've been very lucky because of the internet to be able to get so much information and to connect it. And I don't think there are very many people putting this information out. So the audience should not be alarmed by it. It's meant to empower you, not to frighten you. We're doing it because it's happening to everyone and people need to know. So the the radiation syndicated pages that the Centers for Disease Control posted have titles like radiation emergencies, protecting yourself and your family. Hold on just a minute. Radiation, ask questions, FAQs about a radiation emergency. Radiation emergencies, information for clinicians, radiation institute. And so it goes on with many, many, many of these documents that were suddenly posted 2 days before the disaster. Now, on March the 17th, which is the day before the radiation from the first Fukushima explosion reached the west coast of the United States, public health officials in counties around California, and it must have been for every state, issued letters to doctors ordering them not to give iodine tablets or iodine supplements to their patients who were concerned about radiation poisoning. How could a doctor in his right mind prevent his patients from protecting themselves and their families from damage to their thyroid glands? That is a central messenger system in the body that controls, sends messenger molecules to all parts of the body to control functioning. And damage to the thyroid is one of the main causes of this huge epidemic of obesity that we have in the United States. And I just keep saying over and over again, they want to blame it on us, our lifestyles, our genetics, blah, blah, blah. But if it's an epidemic, it's not genetic. It's impossible. So these public health officials in every county issued these letters. I have copies of 2 from different counties in California. On March the 17th and 18th, there were very, very heavy chemtrails being sprayed all over the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's been reported that they were widely sprayed over the West Coast as well, even parts of Arizona. On March the 18th, they were still spraying chemtrails. This was a Friday morning in San Francisco. And this huge vortex appeared in the sky over San Francisco. At 11 a.m., there was suddenly lightning and thunder, and the electricity flickered. And at 11:05 a.m., suddenly tornado alerts came out on the television, and a 2-week downpour started. We should not have been having 2 weeks of rain at this time of year. We have no rain from April or May until November because we have a Mediterranean climate in California. But that downpour started. We get 14 inches of rain on average a year in California. We were getting an inch an hour for hour after hour on many days. It caused flooding of 19 counties in California. The governor announced a state emergency because of all the flooding, but he never mentioned all the radiation. And this is more weather engineering to carry out a more efficient nuclear war, and there's no more efficient nuclear war than that delivered by bombs or radiation that are exploded in rain clouds, and then that's rained out. And so we got a huge dose on the West Coast, and that's why the car floor mats and the building where that volunteer radiation monitoring station is has been reporting such high levels, and they're increasing every day.
Now, in terms, I really want to like go in my capacity